Hey, coin collectors, you might think that the 1967 Washington quarter is just a regular coin or something that can be found in your pocket change. But what if I told you that this rarest coin, seemingly ordinary quarter, could actually be worth the millions of dollars? That's right, the 1967 Washington quarter hides a fascinating era and a unique history that makes it a rare treasure in the world of numismatics. Stick with me, because in today's video, we're going to uncover the secrets behind this coin, and you'll learn why it's worth far more than face value. To understand why the 1967 Washington quarter is so valuable, we need to look at its history. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to commemorate George Washington's 200th birthday. Designed by John Flanagan, the coin features Washington's profile on the obverse and an eagle on the reverse. Over the years, these quarters have been produced in vast quantities, and by 1967, the Washington quarter was a regular part of U.S. currency. Rarest coins, however, 1967 was a year of change for U.S. coins, and this is where things get interesting. It was the final year the 90% silver quarters were produced, making the 1967 quarter special. But that's just the beginning of this coin's fascinating story. There's a unique error in some of these coins that has made them incredibly valuable in the eyes of collectors. Before we get into the rare error, let's first talk about the composition of the 1967 quarter. Up until 1964, all quarters were made of 90% silver and 10% copper. However, in 1965, due to a national shortage of silver and rising costs, the U.S. Mint changed the composition of most coins, including the quarter. After 1964, the standard quarter was made from a clad composition and a copper core with layers of nickel on the outside. But, here's the thing: of the 1967 Washington quarter was still made of 90% silver, unlike later years where it switched to the clad composition. This means that the 1967 quarter has a higher intrinsic silver value, which already makes it worth more than its face value of 25 cents. Silver content aside, it's the error that's made the 1967 quarter a coveted find. Some of those quarters were struck with a very unique mistake during the minting process, turning them into one of the most sought-after error coins for collectors. Rarest coins. Let's talk about the real treasure here, the double die error in some 1967 quarters. A double die happens when the coin's design is struck more than once by the die, causing the design to appear doubled or shifted. This error occurs during the minting process, and while double dies are not extremely rare, the 1967 version has some particularly pronounced doubling that makes it highly desirable. If you look closely at the word liberty and the phrase "in God we trust," you may notice that the letters appear to have a shadowed outline, or in some cases, doubling. This is a clear indication of the error, and it's especially visible in the upper areas of the coin. The doubling is most noticeable on the L, I, and the RN, as well as the T and SN. Rarest coins now. How do you know if you've found one of these rare 1967 double die quarters? It's all about the details. Here's how to identify them. Start by inspecting the word "Lee." What if I told you that one of the most famous U.S. coins from the 1960s is something you might find in your loose change? It could be worth millions. That's right, the 1965 Washington quarter, a seemingly ordinary coin, has a fascinating history and hidden rarity that makes it incredibly rarest coins today. We're diving deep into this iconic coin and uncovering the secret that could make it worth a fortune. So, stay tuned, because you might be sitting on a treasure. Rarest coins. Let's start with a little history. The Washington quarter has been part of American coinage since 1932, when it was introduced to honor George Washington's 200th birthday. Designed by John Flanagan, the quarter features Washington's bust on the obverse and an eagle on the reverse. Over the years, millions of Washington quarters have been minted, and by 1965, the design was still going strong. Rarest coins. However, 1965 was a pivotal year in U.S. coin history. It was the year that big changes occurred in American currency. The U.S. Mint made a major shift in the composition of its coins, and this shift led to one of the most fascinating error coins in modern history, the 1965 Washington quarter. Before 1965, quarters were made of 90% silver and 10% copper, but due to the rising cost of silver and a shortage of the metal, the U.S. Mint decided to change the composition of the quarter. Starting in 1965, quarters were made of a clad composition, a copper-nickel core sandwiched between two layers of copper-nickel. This change meant that the new quarters were no longer made of silver, and their value was reduced. Rarest coins. But here's the twist: not all of the 1965 quarters were made with this new clad composition. Some quarters, due to a mix-up at the U.S. Mint, were struck with the old 90% silver composition. And this rare mistake made certain 1965 quarters extremely valuable. So, why are these coins worth so much? Well, it all comes down to the error. While the vast majority of 1965 quarters were struck with the clad composition, a small percentage were still struck with 90% silver, which was meant for earlier years but was accidentally used in the 1965 production process. Rarest coins. The silver quarters were mixed in with the newly minted clad coins and distributed in circulation. As you can imagine, finding one of these 90% silver 1965 quarters is a big deal, especially since they weren't supposed to exist. And this small error makes the 1965 silver Washington quarter a rare treasure for collectors. Now, how do you identify a 1965 silver quarter from a regular 1965 clad quarter? There are a few easy ways to tell them apart. First, you should look at the weight of the coin. Silver quarters weigh around 6.25 grams, while the clad quarters are lighter, at 5.67 grams. You can easily weigh your coin with the precision scale to confirm if it's silver. Rarest coins. Another quick test is the magnet test. Clad coins are magnetic, while silver is not. If your 1965 quarter doesn't stick to a magnet, it's likely made of silver. Finally, take a close look at the edge of the coin. A silver quarter will have a distinct silver color along the edge, while a clad quarter will show the copper core. Hello, coin collectors and treasure hunters. You might think the 1994D Washington quarter is just another standard coin worth only 25 cents. But what if I told you that this very coin could be worth millions? That's right, the 1994D Washington quarter harbors a rare error that could make it incredibly valuable. Today, we're diving deep into the details of this extraordinary coin and uncovering the secrets behind its hidden worth. Stick around, because you might be sitting on a fortune. Rarest coins. Let's first set the stage with some history. The Washington quarter has been a staple in U.S. currency since it was introduced in 1932. Designed by sculptor John Flanagan, the coin features a profile of George Washington on the obverse and an eagle on the reverse. Over the years, this quarter has been produced in huge quantities, with different designs and variations across the decades. Fast forward to 1994, a time when millions of quarters were being minted at the Denver Mint, hence the D Mint mark. At first glance, the 1994D Washington quarter appears just like any other, but hidden within a small batch of these coins is a very rare error that has made certain 1994D quarters incredibly valuable among collectors. Rarest coins. So, what makes the 1994D Washington quarter worth so much? The answer lies in a minting error, specifically, the double die obverse error. A double die happens when the coin's die is misaligned during the minting process, causing the design to be struck twice, creating a visible shadow or doubling effect. While double die coins are rare, the 1994D variety has a particularly famous error. If you examine the word A Liberty and the phrase A and God we trust, you might notice something unusual. The letters seem to duplicate or have a shadowy outline. This happens because the design was struck more than once during the minting process. It's subtle, but if you know what you're looking for, it's unmistakable. $1 million. Rarest coins. Now, how do you know if you have one of these rare 1994D double die quarters? It's all about the details. With the magnifying glass or coin loop, here's what you need to check. Rarest coins. Start with the word Liberty above George Washington's head. Look for a shadowy doubling effect. You should be able to see a second, faint set of letters behind the main ones. Pay attention to the L, I, and T in particular. The same goes for In God We Trust. You should notice a thicker line or a ghost-like shadow next to the original letters. Next, take a close look at the mint mark, AD. It should be perfectly clear, but on some error coins, the mint mark is doubled or misaligned, adding to its rarity. Rarest coins. In addition to the doubling on the obverse, you might notice some very slight doubling around Washington's eye, his hairline, and the stars surrounding the coin. While these doubling effects are less obvious, they're part of the larger double die phenomenon. The more pronounced the doubling, the more valuable the coin is. Remember, not every 1994D quarter has this error. Only the ones with visible doubling on key design elements are considered the rare find. Now, hey, coin enthusiasts, you might think that a 1971D Washington quarter is just another run-of-the-mill piece of change. But what if I told you that this quarter could be hiding something extraordinary, something so rare, it could be worth millions of dollars? That's right. The 1971D Washington quarter, while seemingly ordinary, has an error that makes it a coveted treasure among collectors. Today, we're going to break down why this coin could be sitting in your pocket, worth way more than 25 cents. Stay tuned, you might just be holding a gold mine. Let's start with a quick history of the Washington quarter itself. First introduced in 1932, the Washington quarter was designed to honor George Washington's 200th birthday. Its striking design, featuring Washington's profile on the obverse and a majestic eagle on the reverse, became a staple of U.S. currency for decades. By 1971, the U.S. Mint had already been producing millions of those quarters, and most of them were just like any other until a very rare error appeared on some of the 1971D quarters. But here's where it gets interesting. In 1971, a small but significant mintage error was made as the Denver Mint. This mistake led to a unique and very rare variety of the 1971D quarter, one that's now worth far more than its face value. Let's take a closer look. $1 million rarest coins. So, what exactly makes the 1971D Washington quarter so special? Well, there's a rare double die obverse error that appeared on some of these coins. A double die occurs when the die used to strike the coin shifts slightly, causing the design to appear twice, offset from each other. The result, a distinct doubling effect that can be seen on certain parts of the coin. Rarest coins. On a normal 1971D quarter, the letters are crisp and clean. But on a double die coin, you'll see the letters in Liberty and In God We Trust appear thicker or shifted, almost like a shadow or a second set of letters behind the originals. It's subtle, but it's there, and it's the doubling effect that makes the coin highly sought after. Rarest coins. Now that you know about the error, let's talk about how to identify the 1971D double die quarter. It's easier than you might think, and all you need is a magnifying glass or a coin loop. Here's what you should be looking for. Rarest coins. First, take a look at the word Liberty and the phrase In God We Trust. The letters in these words should appear doubled, with a visible shadow or ghost-like outline behind them. This doubling is most visible on the L, I, and T of Liberty. Next, check the mint mark. The D mint mark on this quarter can sometimes also show signs of doubling, with a faint secondary mark or an irregular shape. Look at Washington's eye, as well. It may also exhibit slight doubling. The doubling on these coins can be subtle, but it's very important for determining its value. $1 million rarest coins. Serious tone. Now, when it comes to rare coins like the 1971D double die, condition plays a huge role in its value. A coin that's in mint condition will command a much higher price than one that's worn or scratched. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 being perfect. To get the highest possible price for your 1971D double die quarter, it needs to be in excellent condition. A grade of MS65 or higher is ideal, meaning the coin has minimal to no wear and shows sharp, clear doubling. Hey there, coin enthusiasts and collectors. You might think that the Washington quarters from the 1990s are just ordinary coins, worth only 25 cents. But what if I told you that one of these quarters, from 1997, could be hiding something special, and it could be worth millions of dollars. That's right, the 1997 Washington quarter has a rare variety that could make you incredibly rich. Today, we're diving into the secrets behind the 1997 Washington quarter, showing you how to spot its rare error, and explaining why it could be worth a fortune. You won't want to miss this. Rarest coins. Before we get into the rare variety of the 1997 Washington quarter, let's take a quick look at the history of the Washington quarter itself. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932, designed to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. Over the decades, this coin became a symbol of American currency. Its design, featuring Washington's bust on the front and an eagle on the back, has been loved by collectors for generations. By 1997, the U.S. Mint was producing millions of those quarters each year. However, most of the coins released were relatively common until a small, unnoticed error began to show up on some of them. Rarest coins. So, what makes the 1997 Washington quarter so special? Well, it all comes down to a mintage error. You see, the 1997 quarter has been found with an unusual and very rare double die obverse. This error occurs when the coin's design is struck more than once, slightly out of alignment. It creates a doubling effect on the design, which you can clearly see in certain areas of the coin. This doesn't happen often, but when it does, it creates a highly valuable collectible. Imagine seeing the word A Liberty with a strange shadow behind it, or the AD mint mark looking thicker than usual. That's the telltale sign that you may have found one of these rarer coins. So, how can you spot this rare 1997 double die quarter? It's actually easier than you might think, and all you need is a magnifying glass or a coin loop. Here's a step-by-step guide to help you identify one of these rare coins. Start by looking closely at the date, 1997, and the word A Liberty above Washington's head. On a typical coin, the letters should appear crisp and clear, but on a double die error coin, the letters will look double or offset, as though they've been struck twice in slightly different positions. Look for a second outline around the letters, particularly on the L and the B. You might also notice that the date 1997 looks a bit blurry, with extra edges or lines on the numbers. Next, take a look at Washington's eye on the front of the coin. The eye may show a second, faint outline. It's almost like Washington is looking at you from two angles. Additionally, check for doubling around the details of Washington's hair and the stars near the edge of the coin. These doubled areas are what make this coin a true collector's dream. Rarest coins. Now, here's the thing, a condition matters. The 1997 double die quarter, like any rare coin, is worth far more if it's in great condition. Coins that are well preserved, free from scratches and discoloration, fetch the highest prices in the market. A coin graded in MS65, mint state, or higher could be worth thousands of dollars. And if you have a quarter in MS67 or better, that's CO. Hey, coin collectors and treasure hunters, you're probably thinking, a 1981 Washington quarter, worth the millions, is that even possible? Well, it absolutely is. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most surprising and valuable coins that you might have in your change right now, the 1981 Washington quarter dollar. This coin isn't just any ordinary quarter, it has a rare variety that could make you a fortune. So, stick around as we uncover the shocking details about this coin's value, why it's so rare, and how you can check if you're holding a hidden gem. To understand why the 1981 Washington quarter could be worth millions, we need to first understand a bit about its history. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to commemorate George Washington's 200th birthday. Its design, featuring the iconic portrait of Washington on the front, has become one of the most enduring symbols of U.S. currency. Rarest coins. Fast forward to 1981, the U.S. Mint struck millions of these coins, but not all of them are worth just 25 cents. Some have a special mark, a variety so rare that it has collectors and investors eagerly searching for it. Now, let's talk about the special feature that makes this coin worth a fortune. The 1981p Washington quarter has a rare variety called the double die obverse. But what does that mean exactly? In simple terms, it's a striking error where the design on the obverse say that's the front of the coin A was stamped more than once during the minting process. You'll notice that the letters in A Liberty, the date A 1981, and even Washington's I are doubled, giving the coin a unique look. This happens when the coin is struck multiple times, causing the design to overlap slightly. Double die coins are extremely rare, and collectors will pay a premium for them, especially when they're in good condition. But not every 1981p quarter has this error. Only a small percentage of them are struck this way, which is what makes them so valuable. So how can you tell if your 1981p Washington quarter is the $1 million variety? It's actually easier than you might think, and all you need is a magnifying glass or a loupe. Here's what to look for. Rarest coins first. Closely examine the date A 1981 and the word A Liberty. Look for doubling or extra details that don't line up with the rest of the coin. If the letters appear thick or duplicated, you might have a double die error. Next, take a close look at Washington's I. On a regular quarter, it should appear as a single line, but on the double die variety, you'll notice a second outline of the IA. It's almost like Washington is winking. Finally, check for any other doubling around the coin's design. You might spot it around the letters and numbers. If you see multiple lines or a blurry, double look, you've found a valuable coin. Rarest coins. So, now that you know how to identify the rare 1981p double die, let's talk about its value. How much can this coin be worth? Well, in the right condition, this coin could fetch anywhere from $50 to $200 in lower grades. But here's where it gets really interesting. Coins with higher grades, particularly those in mint state or MS65, can sell for thousands of dollars. But wait, there's more. If you happen to find a near-perfect example, something that looks like it just came off the minting press, you could see offers of $10,000, $50,